Advanced Pong tutorial number 4. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of this assignment, which is actually creating a working game. We have a ball that moves, we have paddles that move, and now we're ready to get to action. Okay, so the first thing that we have to decide is what is our game actually going to? We know it wants to have at least 3 levels, but how much does a player have to get? How many points does it have to score before it can go on to level 2? So I'm going to just kind of make that 5 by default. If you want to change that, you can. I wouldn't make it too high or else it's going to take a long time to test your game. So I would say 5 would be maximum, but if you want to set it out at 3 or something, you could. Okay, so we're gonna need to be on the ball code right now, and so far we have it just kind of bouncing around, but we're gonna add some more control within this forever loop, and this is when we're gonna get into some ifs and then. So you've seen these in code.org. I'm gonna add an if then right underneath the forever. I want it to continuously move, but there's certain times that I want it to move and sometimes that I don't, depending on what the scores are. So right now we've got 2 variables. I might actually create one more variable right now. I'm just going to make a variable and call it round. And what this round variable is going to do is just declare like what round we're currently in, which might come in handy later on. You'll see why later on. Right now it says round 0, which there is no round 0. That would be like, before you even play the game. So let's also set that to right up here. We're actually going to declare our variables right now. So we're going to make round equal 1 right at the start of this. And now if I go ahead and stop and start this, we should have round starting at number 1, which makes sense. That's just going to keep track of what round we're in. Again, could come in handy later on. Okay, so if, for example, and you could probably code this based on what round it is too, so I encourage you to find different ways to do that. I'm going to do it as an operator. I'm going to say if something and something, then. So if you look at this right here, I've got an operator of something and something. And you've probably also seen in math, I'm sure you have, if something is less than something else. I'm actually going to throw 2 of those inside of this. So you can see that those kind of fit in here. All right, so far all I'm doing is adding 2 less thans inside of this giant and operator. So here I need to check a couple of things to see if this should still be playing round 1. I need to see if the player score is still under 6. So that means, because the game's going to go to 5. And I need to see if the computer score is still under 6 as well. Otherwise, we should be doing something else and kick out of this loop. So I'm going to go ahead down to the variables, and I'm going to say if the player 1 score is less than not 50, we're going to change that to 6 because we want our game to go to 5. So it's going to be less than 6. And the computer score over here would be on the other one. If that is going to be less than 6 as well, then we should be doing the code in this if statement. So I'm going to take this giant block that I just made down here and I'm going to throw it into this if statement up here. Okay, so as long as we're under 6, we should be doing the following code. Now the first piece of code, I need another if statement inside of this if statement. Okay, so now we're getting into nested ifs, which all games have, right? If you think about it like games that you would play, if the player still has so much health, then make them look like this. We're always checking for different conditions. So here's our first nested if statement. Inside of this, we're going to take an if then, and we're going to put it inside. Now you can see very clearly, and that's another thing that I like about Scratch, that this block here, this if, is inside, outside, containing this if, and that's why we call it a nested if statement. You can see that both of these ifs are inside of this forever, and that's really important to understand those concepts, that they are going to continuously check these conditions forever right now, because that's what this is set to. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to have to check for is to see if the ball is touching the color red or the color green, because if it is, that means that somebody has scored a point. So we're going to go down to sensing, and we're going to go to touching color, and that's going to be our first condition. So this is going to be, the first thing I'm going to check is to see if it's touching color red. If it does, that means player one has a point. Now to get that red exactly, remember that computers are precise. So I can't just kind of click on this and click on red from here because it might not be the exact shade of red. So you can see down here we've got a little color picker, and we're going to go to the red on this and make sure that that red is exactly the same color. That's a common mistake people will make, is they'll just choose any color red, and computers are exact. So they need to have exactly the color that's in your game space. Notice also, I could have said touching a sprite. I could have said touching line sprite instead of using color. So there's more than one way to program. I encourage you to try different things, especially after you've got the game coded the way I have it. That's your chance to mix it up and try different things, and that's how you're going to score more points on your assignment. Now, what's actually going to happen if the ball touches red? Well, if it touches red, that means that the player one has scored a point. So let's go down to those variables, and let's go to change a score by 1, but we're actually changing the player's score by 1. All right, we're just going to go ahead and see what this is doing now. And we're just going to watch this. So the ball's bouncing around, and you can see that it got to 5 first time it hit red, and then it got to 6, and then it's not really doing anything after that. Now, if you think about it, the interesting thing is, why did it give it 5 points the first time it hit it? Well, remember that a computer is processing things as quickly as it can. So the ball probably hit the red, but stayed on the red long enough to accumulate more than 1 point. So that's a problem. That's not what we wanted, but that's what the computer did because it's trying its hardest to process the touching color red as fast as possible. Okay, so we're going to adjust a little bit here, and notice also that it's not going past 6. Well, that part does make sense because we had here to ignore it if it's no longer under 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can adjust the inside code here so that it's a little bit better. First thing we need the ball to do after it hits the red, so it doesn't continuously score points, is we need the ball to go back to the middle of the screen. If you remember, the middle of the screen is x equals 0 and y equals 0. I also might want to give the user some kind of notification. I might want to say something. So for example, I might want to say how to continue the game. Okay, so I'm going to say press space to continue. And I'm going to leave that up for 2 seconds. That's fine by default. And now I need some kind of wait key. So I can wait 1 second. And that's probably what I'm going to do here. Oh, actually, I'm going to use a wait until. And then I'm going to go down to sensing. And I'm going to look for something about a key being pressed. There we go. That's what I want to do. So wait until the space key is pressed before you kick out of that loop. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happens now when we run this game. Okay, you'll notice that it's still saying 6. Okay, now this gets into the declaration of variables. If you do not reset variables, then even if you stop the game and start it, it's going to remember what you used to have. Now that's a big problem because it's not even looking at this code if it's not less than 6. So we need to go and notice how at the start we declared that round 1 should be equal to 1, the variable round. Well, we have to declare our other variables as well. So we've got set computer score to 0, and we're also going to set our player 1 score to 0 at the beginning of the game. I believe that's the problem, so I'm going to press stop and start again, and now perfect, we see that it reset to 0, and now it's waiting for me to press the spacebar to continue the game. So now this game is acting like it should, at least from a scoring points for player 1. The computer has no chance right now because it's not doing anything if it hits the computer paddle. We haven't got to that code yet, but at least we have the point scoring system for the player working. Let's go ahead and put in the point scoring system for the computer, because I guess we have to give them some points too. Okay, so we're going to go into the if then as well, and we're going to make sure that it's kind of lined up at the same nested area of this. So right here actually would not be the place to put it. You want to go one more down from that, and you want to make sure that it's not inside of this if touching color red. That's very important because what we're going to be doing is what the condition is if it touches green now. Well, imagine that by accident I put that where I put it the first time. If I put this up one level, then the only way that the computer would ever score a point is if somehow the ball was touching red and then touching green at the same time. And we know that that can't happen in the game. So it's very important that you pay attention to where these nested if statements are. We don't want it in this, but we do want it to be included in this condition. Okay, so there we go. We've got that, and we're now going to go to sensing again and touching color. This time we're doing the computer scoring. So if I click on that and I click on that, I can go ahead and click on the exact color green from here. So if it's touching that color green, what should we do? We're going to go ahead and basically do the same thing. So variables, we're going to change the computer score by 1. It's the first thing we're going to do. We already learned that we're going to have it go back to the middle of the screen. And we're also going to do these things. Now you can duplicate some of this code if you want to save time. So there I just right-clicked and I took that chunk of code and now I'm going to replace it here. So we're going to go ahead and watch what this game is doing. It seems to be always just going to the right and scoring points right now because that's what it's going to do. If I wanted to test the other side of the game, notice this point and direction at the start. I could have gone this way to begin with, and I could have seen what the game looks like when it goes that way. There you go. The computer is getting points every time that I go that way. Okay, so I think my scores are working. This has probably been long enough for this section of the tutorial. Next time we're going to get into making the ball bounce off the paddles, and also how do we notify the computer when somebody's won? How do we advance this to the next stage? So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You are well on your way to completing the advanced Pong. Go ahead and save your work now if you have all this working. See you next time.